Welcome to the Spring 2024 Tech Home Builder Summit and Housing Transformation Summit. We are absolutely thrilled to have you all here with us today, and it actually is a big milestone. This is the 10th year that Tech Home Builder has been taking place, and I think it's a memorable milestone, and there's really no better place to celebrate it than Nashville, Tennessee, where you can go boot stomp after the event and celebrate such a great accomplishment. We are really excited to have you here today because collectively, all of the summits are hosting 140 guests in Nashville. That's a 40% increase from last year, and we are featuring nearly 100 sponsor companies for you all get to know and meet. Guests represent over $160 billion in revenue, and it makes it the place to be to build connections for your business. I'm Heather Young. I'm going to be the moderator for this track with you this year, and I am a tech journalist. I've been covering smart homes since it was an idea, and it's been just fascinating to follow along the ride of its development to be here where we are today, where not only do you have tech home and automation, but you also have AI in the mix as well. So we have 5 sessions together in the multifamily track. We're starting today with the future of shared spaces. We're thinking big, and that's sponsored by Crestron. We're going to be exploring the changing expectations for shared spaces and multifamily properties. Together, we put together what we hope is going to leave you more inspired and then full of practical, good, valuable ideas, and more importantly, the connections you need to make them come to life. Now, conferences of this size and this scope would not be possible without sponsors, and we're always very appreciative of the sponsors that we have, but our session sponsor today is more than just working with us in partnership of making this event happen. They're also part of the inspiration for this session. Crestron is one of the leading providers of smart home technology and automation, and it's the ideal partner for this future forward topic. We're beginning today with a presentation from Sonia Hernandez, the Business Development Manager, and Sonia, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Heather. Hi, everyone. She already introduced me, but yes, my name is Sonia Hernandez. I live in Houston, Texas, and it's my first time in Nashville. Very excited to be here with you all. Today, we'll be discussing smarter spaces with Crestron. And to start off with, who is Crestron, in case you don't know? We've been around since 1972. Crestron has been the leader in creating innovative technologies that remove barriers to connection, collaboration, communication, and comfort. Engineered to be simple, reliable, secure, and easy to use, Crestron sets the standard for intelligent video conferencing, digital content distribution, smart home systems, solutions that empower people around the world to do more, learn more, enjoy more, and achieve more. Now, we could play that short video that we have to really showcase what Crestron is about.
In conference rooms, classrooms, smart homes, and places that are home to power, our products help people connect, communicate, and collaborate. Master a meeting, an opportunity, a moment. And while sometimes our solutions do nothing more than advance the proper mood, more often, they move companies, communities, and even humanity forward. And it's that innovation that fuels us. We are Crestron. We've defined and redefined the best in room automation, smart home systems, content distribution, and video conferencing technology. We never stop pushing further, creating solutions that exceed expectations, defy limitations, relentlessly committed to research and development. The result? Leading-edge products, built in factories of the future, equipped with quality assurance that replicates years of service in the service of peace of mind. What can't be replicated? The ingenuity of design teams creating solutions for customers long before a sale, and support that continues for decades afterwards. Training, education. We push these too, partnering with the industry's most ambitious professionals at Crestron Masters, so they, like us, are fueled by all the things innovation will help them do. Crestron. Innovation fuels us.
So So as you can see, some of those spaces where we are located and empower these spaces with technology and automation solutions. Here you'll see some of those brands that are well recognized that we have established these relationships with, just to showcase some of that on how we empower these rooms. From commercial to education, government, hospitality, multifamily spaces, we are in multiple spaces across the world. When you think about Crestron in a multifamily space, since we are in this boardroom discussing multifamily solutions, how you can think about Crestron is that it is the most complete and scalable solution for your projects. With Crestron, you get the Crestron difference, and that means that Crestron is the one and only manufacturer that designs, manufactures, and supports the full core spectrum of technology and automation solutions. Here you'll see some of those examples that Crestron has been deployed, whether it's a restaurant, a cafe, or in lobby spaces such as here, as you see, or residential. Because we are at Tech Home Builder Summit, you can visit with us as we exhibit and showcase some of our solutions, including our lighting. We have fully tunable LED light fixtures, from dimmers to keypads and switches and things of that nature. You can learn all about our lighting solutions if you visit with us, including our shading solutions. We have over 400 fabrics to choose from and hardware that you can actually see, and it's engineered by Crestron, both wired and wireless options. Of course, our unmatched audio over IP solutions, providing scalability, flexibility, and performance when it comes to integrating the audio and video into your spaces. We have also our control devices, providing one simple user experience across multiple platforms on the wall, countertop surfaces, or mobile device, as you see here. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight that I'd like for you to take away is that Crestron, even though it's a 50-year-old manufacturing company, it is still family-owned to this day. I think that's something that's very unique about Crestron. We are also a vertically integrated manufacturer, meaning all of our products are designed to work together, providing a reliable experience for the end user. And also, here is my contact information if you want to connect after this summit. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sonia. As you can see from that presentation, they provide just a lot of the top end of what you can bring into a unit and into a space. And that's the technical side. Now we're going to move on to the inspirational side of today's roundtable. I'm so excited to be able to introduce Rob Svedberg. And you know, today we're in the Music City Center, and it's gorgeous, it's thoughtful. Everywhere you look, there are unique details, and this is the man who brought it all to life. He is the principal in charge of TVS Design's public assembly practice, and his work is known for integrating very large buildings into complex urban environments, but then preserving and enhancing the life of the city and creating a very effective shared space, as you're getting to experience right away here today. His resume doesn't just include the Music City Center. He's also done the expansion of New York's Jacob Javits Convention Center, Mumbai's Joe World Center, the rooftop expansion of the Colorado Convention Center, the Puerto Rico Convention Center, and even the expansion and transformation of the Las Vegas Convention Center. Very long list of very successful, inspirational shared spaces. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rob to help inspire us all today for our conversation about shared spaces.
Thank you. My name is Rob Svedberg. I'm going to get away from that. I'm a principal with TVS, and I lead our public assembly group. So I'm so very excited to be here and kind of relevant to y'all, as she said. I led the team that designed this building. So we started working on this project in 2008, kept us going right through the Great Recession, opened in 2013, and really led to a total transformation of downtown Nashville. So really excited to be here and to share a little bit about it. TVS, we're a firm in Atlanta, Georgia. We do a significant amount of large-scale, complex multifamily projects, but I do not, and I'm not really here to talk about that. Here to talk about Music City Center. Since this is sponsored by Crestron, I probably shouldn't start out with what I'm going to say, but don't get too nervous. But the technology that goes into a building is a little bit of a commodity, and it's important, and it's a tool that we all have to make spaces and make spaces relevant to people. But it's how you use that tool that creates a competitive advantage for us all in our buildings. And so if you think about it, you or any of your competitors can buy the general components here of technology, of shared spaces, of meeting spaces, but it's really the creativity of what you deploy to how you install it, how you think about it. Goes with all of the spaces you're in now. Just a meeting room is basically a box, right? So we're in a meeting room. This one has 18-foot ceilings. It subdivides into 5 rooms, so it can be 5 rooms, it could be one big open room. Pretty basic stuff. But how do you use all of these different pieces to bring people together to help celebrate things? And so what we do in our buildings is we connect buyers and sellers. Basically, y'all are buyers, Crestron is a seller, and a convention center is designed to connect those. When you think about the work we do in multifamily, the spaces that we're talking about here is kind of creeping into that building type, but it's really about how do you bring people together and make connections, right? As units get smaller, the public spaces get bigger, and it's really the quality of those public spaces that really differentiate one project from another. So we do really big spaces. So the exhibit hall upstairs is 350,000 square feet. So that's one complete scale of trying to bring people together. But no matter how big the project is, people come to conventions to see new products, to network, and to get educated. And so really networking is one of the most important things, creating spaces that are social in nature that help to facilitate interactions and people meeting. So if you go outside, you have some really weird shapes, right? Lots of curvies, lots of strange ceilings, lots of little nooks and crannies. All of that's intentional because they make really interesting spaces you want to go and explore, and you take somebody with you and you have a conversation that you might not be able to have somewhere else. Education. What's really interesting about spaces is that the biggest trend in education spaces is what we call creative spaces. And it's not classrooms like this, it's being, a big glass box with beanbag chairs or something like that. Is how do you kind of get people out of their comfort zone, experience something physically with their bodies that helps them create a different educational experience. We just redid our own office in Atlanta, and one of the really interesting things is we did a big total waste of space. And since I pay the rent, it drove me crazy that we were creating this big social space in our office. But really there's a genius to it because now every, like ULI, Georgia Tech is having a reception there Friday for their students, are coming into our space using this shared space amenity. We have a terrace overlooking Peachtree Street. And we get a lot of people that come in that know about us, that hear about us. Customers come in because of this shared space that we have. And so you take something that is space we're renting that doesn't generate income from us, but generates a lot of goodwill within our local community. One of the fun things about convention centers, and we do sports facilities too, is it's where we all go to get inspired and entertained. And so you have this really intimate relationship. Besides building buildings, we tear a lot of them down. So almost nearly every convention center has an old arena that we tore down to do it. And people will chain themselves to the door of that arena before you tie it down because that's where they saw Elvis or that's where they saw the Beatles. And so those buildings have these kind of storage of our collective memories. And so one of the things we try to say is that building a building is an unsustainable act. But the most sustainable thing you can do is make a building that people love, because then no one will ever be able to tear it down and it'll live forever and have multiple lives. This shot is in actually Hall D of the convention center up here. So it's a 270-foot by 380-foot clear span space. It was designed acoustically to do concerts in. And they actually do concerts in there pretty regularly for events. So you'll come here, you have a banquet in the exhibit hall, you have a general session a banquet in the ballroom, general session in the exhibit hall, and then you'll have a party in this exhibit hall. The other thing that spaces need to do in these buildings, and I think we see that creeping into the hotels we do and in the multifamily we do, is special spaces. So spaces that tickle your imagination, that you want to be in. This is a boardroom. It's up on a mezzanine above the exhibit hall level. And right after this building opened, they started filming a show called Nashville in Nashville. And if you see the early first 2 seasons, this was the corporate boardroom that they used in that show. Completely unintentional. They just came by and scouted and said, that's the coolest room in the town. We're going to use that as our boardroom. And then spaces that make people feel like they belong. I think one of the really interesting things we play with in really big buildings is scale. So you have these incredibly overwhelming spaces that kind of aren't really comfortable, and then you have more intimate spaces. And an intimate space can be, it's off the beaten path, the way you sculpt the space, the character of the sound in the space. It could also be a small or shorter space. But this is a really big space, and when you go up to the exhibit hall level, it just has that intimacy. And like, you know, one of the things that Charles, the guy who runs this building, says is that like a lot of deals get closed in that space. People go from the show floor, they walk there, and it's these little interesting nooks and crannies of the building where actually the deals get done, which is the whole purpose of doing this kind of a project. So do I have time?
Plenty.
Okay, so I'm going to go into some nerddom here and talk a little bit about the design of this building, just for fun. And when we design a building like this, besides facilitating the function of the building, meeting, educating, entertaining, inspiring, we're also trying to tell a story. So this is part of the tourism industry infrastructure of Nashville. And so it has to tell the story about Nashville. And so the story we were trying to tell was about the geography. You're between Memphis and Knoxville, the mountains and the Delta. And so this is the rolling hills of central Tennessee. And so besides kind of the reference to the kind of the lyrical nature of music, the design was trying to pick up the geography, which is the roof starts to represent the rolling topography of central Tennessee. And it's one of the interesting things is like, you know, you may never have seen this in the building until we tell you. But what you see when you see the building is you know that it's special, you know that it's different, you know that somebody did it intentionally, and then you can read into it whatever you want. You can read music, you can read Central Tennessee. The other thing that we did, and you see in some of the spaces here, is we took some musical instruments, we cut them open with a bandsaw, and we tried to figure out, this is Music City. We want to make the spaces feel like you're inside of a musical instrument. And so what does that do? It's the quality of sound, it's the quality of light. This is the main lobby up. If you go up one level more, one level more. You see this atrium that takes you up to the ballroom. And these skylight holes kind of start to reference finger holes in an instrument. The way they light up at night is just really beautiful. The room is completely enveloped in wood and almost has a sound that's distinct from any other space in the building. So we're trying to create spaces here that, on a very complex level, reference people and their relationship with music. When we did the ballroom, our designer, Jeannie, who did this, got really interested in the kind of the technology of pianos. And so she made this space that is just beautiful. It's complete envelope of wood, but there's also technology that's hidden in it, the lights, the ringing points, the speakers, sprinklers, all of the stuff that goes into making the room useful is all hidden, but it's all integrated within this kind of beautiful layer of architecture. And so with that, that's all I had to share with you. Appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Can we give him a round of applause for creating? He created such a beautiful space for us all to meet in. Had you all noticed some of those details already as walking around? Especially that piano room, I think that's stunning. And he mentioned so many things that are going to help us now that we have the technology inspiration and we have the design inspiration that are going to help us jump off into our collaborative brainstorming session. We're going to start brainstorming by table, and I know the introverts in the room just groaned. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's $160 billion in revenue. circulating around these halls, and collectively that's brilliant ideas, people who do things at the top of their game, and we really wanted to start session 1 with you guys having an opportunity to be able to connect over a project and just make some meaningful relationships that you can carry forward through the rest of the event. So I'm going to walk us through just a couple of notes on what Robert shared. He shared that creative spaces that sparked inspiration are definitely necessary and a part of his work. He mentioned social spaces where when you create them, it helps with leasing and awareness of your building. And he also mentioned special spaces as well. What we're going to be doing is we're going to work through some quick roundtable introductions of all of you together, and then you're going to ID a chair who will facilitate the discussion, and then a scribe, the lucky scribe, who will capture and then deliver a 2 to 3 minute social media spot, or basically the summary of your findings collectively up here at the podium. So come right up the stairs, cross over, and then report into the microphone. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to talk about designing a shared space tech implementation for a luxury multifamily rental property. Really using this space as your inspiration, and also what you know collectively as a group about the shared spaces that you're designing and the trends that you're seeing. You're going to have 10 minutes to go over that. I'm going to go across the room here. We're going to use demographics to kind of like spark the conversation, because every demographic has a different technology bent that they are, the most excited about. And we're going to use what you know, and I know it's blind. You don't have any information about the geographics. However, it's intentional to set us up for our keynote, which is coming later today, where you will learn everything you ever needed to know about demographics. So you're already pretty much all set up in really great groups of 3 or 4, so you can stay right at your tables. You just have to pick the lucky person at the table who will be your scribe. And name the space or spaces that you want to focus on as a group, and then from there explain the features and the experiences that you want to deliver to residents in a 2 to 3 minute social media video spot that you'll use to generate leads for your business. So you'll describe it, and it will give everyone in this room some inspiration for some future content as well. I do want to quickly go over some trends to watch to just help add to your conversation. We brought in Rob on purpose because hospitality, hotel-like lobbies are definitely a driving trend in the multifamily space to create spaces that drive community and that create awe. We did not collaborate on what he was going to speak about and what I've put on the screen, but you can see in there, in addition to amenities that bring unique experiences for day-to-day life, those are always an important thing to be able to include. On-site cafes and cocktail bars are also trending, but more importantly, privacy pockets. More people are working from home. Co-working spaces are very important, but creating quiet nooks that foster work outside the unit and breed creativity are also seen as being a very great thing to be able to use to market your spaces as well. And then the sustainable and healthy spaces where you're bringing nature inside. Natural materials are included. You get inspiration from nature, like the rolling hills here in Tennessee, and beautiful lighting and things that just lift people up and bring a deeper sense of awe and connection to the space. So on that note, I'll start the timer. You can introduce yourselves. Again, pick your scribe, the person who will report your findings, and then you'll hear me break in like the voice of God to tell you you're done and to wrap up. And then from there, we will report with each other. So have fun with it, get to know each other, and I'll be back in shortly. All right,
Okay.
Group 1.
So we were talking about Gen Z, which I think we said was 97 to 2012, so we'll just say 20s. So we were just kind of comparing notes on a few projects that we were working on, and we kind of have a little bit of the gamut. We've got one affordable developer here who's putting a lot of effort and I guess space dollars into community centers, and so aggregating meeting areas that are really being used for educational purposes, and they're providing services, educational, financial education, things like that for their tenants. Screen forward, right? Lots of audiovisual and spaces that are intended to be more of a, I don't know what we're going to say, educational setting, right? Said 73% are streaming TVers, so they're not cable. And so, we were speaking a lot about smaller nooks, comfortable spaces, maybe more like a living room type setting that's common for a full facility. Screen centric. I threw out something that we're considering on a project of golf simulators. Again, just trying to carve out, certain portions of demographics that are going to see that as something that, not everybody's doing. So I don't know if we hit the nail on the head there, but that's about as far as we got.
Very good for Gen Z, especially with everything that we're seeing in trends, absolutely. And you picked up on even what Rob was talking about with having those community spaces where you give people a chance to come on in and stay a while. And the smaller nooks and crannies, I'm seeing that come up a lot. So give them a round of applause. All right, back left. What was your demographic?
Our demographic was Gen X,
Okay.
so 43 to 58. We also discussed golf simulators.
Sensing a trend.
Yes, bringing the outdoor in, speakeasy type community room bars.
I guess I'm not sure we really focused as much on the tech implementation portion of the prompts. I think more we were trying to aggregate aspects of the generation that we were thinking. Okay, so we're thinking probably older kids are empty nesters, so maybe the younger family draw is not as big. It's something that focuses a little bit more on personal relationships, areas to interact and socialize with people face to face. So yeah, the golf simulator is one of them. We were thinking like kind of leisure, retirement type activities, along with like pool hall bar, as you said, poker area, kind of more intimate feelings.
Things to do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They picked up the trend though. They were on with a generational, what they want is going to be very different from what a Gen Z or from what a millennial is going to want. So I think they would move into your space. Any other notes that you came up with?
Not really.
Not really? Isn't it an interesting concept to try to dial in just to a singular demographic?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, well, you did it. Job well done. Give them a round of applause as well. It rang very true. All right, what was your demographic?
All right, so we have millennials,
All
so
right.
1981 to 96. So our concept is called Insta Cafe. That's what we're calling it. So we started with sort of the basis of like a private barista bar, which we do at my company. We have a lot of private barista bars for residents. It's like a Starbucks on site, basically. Right now we have it where residents can text their orders in through a texting app. But our vision is to sort of create this experience and sort of elevate it and make it a better experience, sort of incorporate it with a fully automated retail experience. Recently I learned about something called Urban Value Store, and it's sort of an Amazon Go type concept where you just put one in the airport in Charlotte, and I went in there this morning. But you basically just go in and you just pick your items off the shelf, put it in your pocket or your bag or whatever, and it just knows whatever you've got, and it just charges your card. You swipe your phone when you go in, and you don't have to check out, right? So we're kind of thinking it's a way to take the barista bar, which is traditionally open from like 6 to 11 in the morning when the barista's working, and actually make it a usable space, for the rest of the day, 24/7. So it could be this fully automated retail experience, 24/7. They sell food items, healthcare items, just little things that people might use, playing cards, anything, right? Can be sold in there. Amazon Go-esque. Obviously would have your traditional things like managed Wi-Fi, 24/7 access, keyless. We've done some co-work space recently with greenery, kind of draped. Someone mentioned bringing the outside in, kind of the same concept. But we thought Instant Cafe was nice. With millennials, it's the instant gratification. You can come down at 1, 2 in the morning, you get whatever you need. You also have the coffee, which millennials love.
Yeah.
And then, we're thinking if we can create some sort of more convenient ordering experience, I can't believe someone hasn't developed this. Surely someone has. Please tell me. But there's some sort of app where residents could just, add items to their cart that they want to order from the barista. So that way the barista, if they're out of a certain type of milk that day, they can put out of oat milk. So, it's just an easier ordering experience than having to text the barista your order, right? And we thought maybe we could even elevate it more by, concierge. If you've got concierge on site, could bring it directly to the resident's unit. And if we could incorporate some sort of like DoorDash type thing, ETA, like estimated delivery time on your order, maybe they could bring them something from the barista or from the shop and sort of take it directly to their door. Again, we're just thinking millennials, instant gratification, get it right away, need it right away. That was what we had.
That's great, because who here, raise of hands, thinks that millennials would absolutely get coffee delivered to their door from downstairs in the building? Absolutely. I would sign up for that, that's that demographic.
You get it now with DoorDash, it's just not hot when you get it.
Yeah, exactly. You can market
Be fresh.
it. Excellent work. Thanks for the brainstorming on that. Give them a round of applause. Also felt very much like a millennial demographic. Okay, down center end. Yes, this is the mystery table. We're getting to know what they chose. What'd you choose?
Yeah, we chose Gen Z, and we don't have any original ideas really from what's already been presented. But so we have the good fortune that one of our members has a 16-year-old who has expressed a lot of interest in gaming alone but together. So we kind of put together but alone. So the idea that we had was there's probably a way, not tech experts yet, but a way to put the infrastructure in that would allow us to have co-working spaces, little cubbies, little call them phone booths that would have the infrastructure in for both work and gaming that would appeal to Gen Z. And then kind of like the last presenters, the idea of a cafe or a bar and making that in a way that would minimize human interaction, believe it or not, would be, I think, something very attractive for Gen Z. So self-serve, contactless, we think both of those would be big hits with that generation. Something we've done, so Amy and I are both with Bristol Development, something we've done and seen a lot of success with is kind of creating this vibe as you go into an amenity space. And sometimes that's positively affected by having background sounds and background smells. Smells not being like a Glade plug-in, but something a little bit more substantial if it's floral or something like that. But it basically disarms folks as they come into this amenity space. And we think that we can accomplish that through tech as well. And Crestron's a great example. Saying we use Crestron on our properties as well for kind of background sound throughout the spaces. And from an architectural perspective, we also thought we can vary the ceiling heights. A lot of times our amenities are pretty high ceilings, 11, 12 feet. But then we'll adjust them in the areas where we have co-working space to lower the ceiling, make it a little bit more of an enclosed, not cavernous feeling. But then in another space, another part of that space, if we have like a pool table or a golf simulator, that will have a tall ceiling, so that folks can feel like they're in a larger space. But also doing that, adjusting the ceiling heights gives us the ability to have some adjustable lighting throughout different, subsections of that space that would also kind of contribute to that vibe, which we want to create a vibe with our amenity space. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Why did you choose Gen Z? Because Amy has a 16-year-old son. Well, I'd say also, so our the average age of our residents, at least at our Knoxville property, is 28. And that's not exactly Gen Z, but in a couple years, if 28 holds, it will be, and that's going to be the next decade of our market, probably be Gen Z folks. So it is very applicable for our business.
Yeah, still very much a gaming generation.
Yes.
Yeah, the gaming perspective is huge. Being able to provide different amenities that speak to that. They're completely technologically connected in every way. And so having a building connected in every way makes a big difference. Excellent choice on the demographic. Thank you for your insights. Give him a round of applause. This one I'm looking forward to. I'm correct, you're the mixed table?
Yeah, mixed.
Yeah, so they're stripping away the generational demographics and looking at technology as a whole. How do you do that?
A little more of a broad range. A lot of these are currently being done in many communities, but we just thought this was the good mix. So daycare space, whether it's a partnership with a local daycare and they actually run something out of there, or if it's just a space for the grandparents to take the kids. Important to focus on acoustics, noise canceling technology, lots of glass to connect the spaces. Maybe I remember going on a Disney cruise like 10 years ago, and you're at a table and the animated turtles are talking to the kids and having conversations, and you're like, I'm excited to see what AI might be able to do for spaces like that. Demonstration kitchen with video that, can be recorded, and then the kids, whatever, young grandkids with the grandma or the teenagers with the mom or whatever, just being able to have a space, because the kitchens are kind of small. And so it'll be nice to have something large. Birthday parties, it's a good social place. Co-working spaces, of course, making sure those are in the appropriate locations. Game rooms with, some kind of alcohol just kind of helps activate it. Fitness center, and then, CrossFit is such a huge thing for, it's not just the 20 to 30-year-old. Now there's a lot quickly going into 50, 60.
Multi-demographic.
So it brings a lot of people together. And then making sure those spaces connect with the outside with like a glass, the garage doors out to some turf, or inside, outside. The bistros, of course. Another big thing is, a lot of kids have a lot of sensory issues now, and it's really hard to find like appropriate environments. So being able to have a place where people can bring those kids and just kind of have some decompression, and then taking them over to, the game room after or something. Thought that, the connection, I know these are just, basic design principles, but, that connection between the spaces, inspirational spaces, well thought out, like this convention center, most convention centers kind of look like airports, and this one definitely did not have that vibe at all. So, but all the spaces are different, but they all connect. And just some unexpected design. And I think a lot of that can come through lighting. I think lighting's been a big part of design for a long time, and just making that unique and moody. You can change it, like in the daycare space. You can bring the lights down if you want a little more calm. You can bring them up if you want to get out some energy. So, just making it all work together.
That's a long list, and it's great because you did cross over multiple demographics. The sensory room is something new I hadn't seen before, and also just looking at early data, millennials, Gen Z, especially everyone who's really coming up through these spaces, have more sensory/mental conditions that need support, becoming so connected with technology. That's a very interesting one. Give him a round of applause. Lots of ideas on that piece of paper. You guys, you did it. You survived. Networking, creating ideas, and coming up and sharing them. Such a great group. And I will tell you, I loved how instantaneously all of you were able to really come up with stuff that did honor the generational demographic that you were given. There's these nuances to them that really does make the place fit that demographic. And then hopefully you're able to record a couple of new ideas to noodle around with. The one I didn't see represented that I want to kind of call out is what Robert had talked about even with his architectural space, is the shared social spaces, where you're very intentionally inviting the community in and making the building a space that the community doesn't want to get rid of. And so I'm just going to kind of summarize a couple of the things that Rob had mentioned as we get ready to close. The future of shared spaces is creative spaces that spark inspiration and let people think. That's going to be a little different by demographic, but still creativity will be a huge value. And then social spaces, making a building that people love and want to have in their community forever, is how Rob described it, and I thought that was a really poignant way to say it. The special places where you want to be inside and explore, I know that takes more time and investment, but thinking through that creatively, what makes a space feel special or different, is absolutely valuable. And then saw it mentioned a couple of times, the nooks and crannies, and you find them. I was already scouting out around here in this convention center. If I have to make a phone call, where am I going to go and do it? And as Rob said, it's also where the deals get closed, where inspiration strikes, and then where life can get just a little bit smaller. Spaces that include the awe and grandeur of hospitality are definitely a trend that we're seeing, and finding meaningful ways within, obviously, your budget to lean in that direction can go a long way to how the space integrates into the community. And even spaces like the piano room that he mentioned, where tech is integrated but very hidden away, so it's not in your face, but you're able to take advantage of, is a new direction that this technology in shared spaces is going as well. Those are just a few of the ways that technology can be brought into a shared space. And I want to thank you all again for your participation in the roundtable. I think if you attend the keynote that's coming up next, it will blow your mind as to understanding the generational demographics, and you'll be like, can we just go and do the whole roundtable all over again? But this was your best first attempt, and you'll get to add on so much meaningful information with the keynote that's coming later. Other than that, thank you so much. I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the week with all of you.